woke up and found yourself magically transported into the world of Game of Thrones, where's the very last place you'd want to wind up? The Iron Islands? King's Landing? Stuck underneath Hodor?
Hodor.
If you place no value in your sense of self, then your answer is probably the Unsullied Army. The Unsullied are slave soldiers, eunuchs from the age of 5 who fight and die for whatever master that owns them. They're permitted no personality, no values beyond obedience and physical prowess. The Unsullied, they're a collectivist tribe. They're trained not to have individual beliefs, hopes, dreams, or ambitions. They're treated as though they have no personality, no sense of dignity, and no rights whatsoever. They can't act on their own, and they exist only as disposable tools to be used by their masters. Now, this sort of collectivist hive mind is the very opposite of individualism. Now, libertarians are concerned not just with liberty, but specifically with individual liberty, with the unique pursuits and actions of individual people. Individual liberty captures the thought that every person is to be treated with dignity, that nobody is inherently more valuable than anybody else. That dignity is upheld when people are left free to choose in their own lives. This is what makes individual liberty important. Everyone is to be treated as free and equal, regardless of their class, race, nationality, or their religion. Just being you is enough. Individualism tells us that the rules we set up and the laws we are to follow, they shouldn't address or conceive of us as members of a collective or a community. They should address us as individual agents. We shouldn't be hauled before a court for the crimes of our mother or our father. We shouldn't be punished for the actions of other people, even if they are our close friends or members of a community that matters deeply and profoundly to us. This means we are to be regarded as individual agents, responsible for our own actions and not the actions of others, and accountable for what we do. Individualism isn't the view that we are all just islands, unconnected with communities or with other people. It's perfectly consistent to be an individualist, but to believe that who we are and what we do is strongly, deeply influenced by others, by our families, our friends, our neighbors, and the communities of which we are a part. Individualism is not a kind of opposition to community. It is only the insistence that we choose those communities. Despite being born into a family of sailors, for example, there's no reason to think that we ought to prevent you from becoming a landlubber who prefers the joys of skateboarding or MMA or whatever to those of sailing the open seas. That's true too for things that matter more, like the choice of what religion you belong to. Now, maybe you were born to a Protestant, a Roman Catholic, or an Anglican family. Maybe you're born into an Amish community. But being born into those communities doesn't mean that you should not have a choice about whether or not to stay in those communities. You might be happy there, but you might not. An emphasis on individualism tells us that once you reach the age of reason and become an adult, your family or community, well, they can't keep you from pursuing your happiness in your own way. Even if that means you pack your bags and say goodbye to the Protestant, Catholic, Anglican, or the Amish way of life. You might think it's the right way to live, but then again, you might not. To be sure, these communities should be free to pursue their customs, traditions, and to live their communal lives according to their beliefs. But what individualism tells us is that they can't conscript anyone into service. It would be wrong of you to force other people to be members of your community. And you would do wrong to keep members of your community from leaving if they don't want to be a part of your community any longer. You should be free to make those kinds of choices for yourself. You should be free to choose not just what you do, but who you do it with. You should be thought of and treated as an independent individual. Collectivism, the belief that the individual should be subservient to the group, means your values and beliefs are most times irrelevant, and your needs are at best secondary to the needs of the group. Okay, now let's do a quick overview. First, libertarians aren't just concerned with liberty, they care about individual liberty. Second, individual liberty means each and every person is worthy of regard, respect, and of dignity. We can't be held accountable or punished for the mistakes of other people. Third, and finally, individual liberty doesn't mean we are all islands in the sea. We can, and frankly, we should associate with others and be part of communities. The difference is that unlike collectivist communities, you are free to leave if you wish.